today. So I figured I would do a psychodelphia recap and kind of just, if you are like a psych TV show fan, kind of let you know like what you missed. Not to brag, but like to like encourage you to go to the next one. I'm assuming that they are gonna try to do another psychodelphia. Um, whether or not it's actually going to be called psychodelphia, I feel like it was just a play on words. Psych TV show, and then they call the fans of psych psychos. And then obviously it was hosted in Philadelphia this year. So maybe next year they'll pick a different city to host the event. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I know technically this is the second PsychCon. They went to they went to Chicago last year, and I heard that overall it was a fun experience. I know from kind of like the Reddit thread that I found on the convention last year, a lot of people weren't too crazy about how it was organized. I read a lot of like reviews on Reddit that basically were saying the people who hosted the event, or the company that hosted the event, I should say, they weren't psych fans, so they kind of didn't know what to do. Now, again, I was not there last year in Chicago when they had PsychCon, so I cannot speak to it, but that is the buzz that I heard online. So, I have never gone to a convention that was put on by Journey Events. That was the company that was putting together psychodelphia. I personally think that they did a great job. I felt like all the panels that they had were great. I thought obviously they basically had the entire cast show up. So that was awesome in my opinion. I think the only thing that I would critique about it is it was held inside of a hotel. And when we were having psychodelphia, there was some big huge volleyball tournament thing happening, and there was also a her convention happening as well. So with that being said, the conference rooms that we were using, I felt like weren't laid out in the best of ways. And I only say that because, like, let's say like a rectangle. So there was like a rectangle banquet area conference room that we were using, and like if you went around the perimeter of the rectangle, there was like in one corner, so like right here, there was the vendors, well, I shouldn't say the vendors, merchandise that was actually like Journey Events merchandise. So it was branded with like Psychodelphia 2025 and all that. And then like along the back wall, there were tables set up for the cast members to do autographs. Then on the opposite side, there was also tables, and then there was like another vendor, and then there was a vendor along the back wall. In theory, not a bad idea. However, multiple autograph sessions were happening at the same time. So like you had like lines, like you would be facing this way for Kirsten Nelson, and then you'd be facing that way for Timothy Owenson. So it was kind of, the lines were a little chaotic. But again, it's not, I don't think it was a convention fault in terms of like, I don't blame Journey Events. I just blame the architecture of the hotel. So it's kind of like one of those things. So I thought the location of the hotel was great. It was right downtown Philadelphia, so like it was literally right across the street from Reading Terminal Market. So lots of like food options that way. There's a 7-Eleven across the street. Obviously, you could stay at the hotel. I did not personally stay at the hotel, but that was just my choosing, or my choice, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so I figured I'd start with day one, and just kind of go from there. So like on day one, it was honestly kind of like personally a shit show. I'm just gonna be real. We had flights out of Detroit. Me and my husband went together. We had flights out of Detroit, and we were supposed to get to Philadelphia at like 9:30 or whatever. So I think our flight left. Our flight was supposed to leave at 7:30. I swear that flight did not even leave until like damn near 9. But we did get there like, like 10:30 or whatever. So we were able to check into the hotel earlier than anticipated, because hotels are always like, oh, it's a 3 p.m. check-in, whatever. We were able to check in early, so that was great. And then I just basically left the hotel and walked straight to the convention center. It was only like, the hotel where the convention was being hosted. It was like a 10-minute walk from our hotel, so it wasn't too terrible. But yeah, so it was cool. So when I got there a little late. I think like registration started at like maybe 9 that morning or something like that, or 10. I don't know. Basically, by the time I was touching down, registration had already begun. So by the time it took me to get to our hotel, check in, obviously get, dressed for the con, and then walk over to the convention, it was like starting. So I got to see Sage Brocklebank. So I don't know, obviously if you're watching this and you watch the show, he is Buzz McNabbs, one of the police officers for Santa Barbara. He's really funny. So it was really cool seeing him. He was kind of like the MC for Friday. So we did a sing along to the theme song, like I Know You Know. Sage took the stage, and there's like Q&As, and kind of just getting to know what he's up to. Funny story, he's now a landlord in Canada. He's a Canadian actor, so that was news to me. And yeah, he's a landlord. So that was just like weird. Like, I mean, it was fun. He said he was working on a play, and he was hoping to get that out into the world soon. So that was really cool. Then we did another sing along to Under Santa Barbara Skies, which was funny. And then the PCC PAC, they had a panel, and basically that is a group. It's I'm so mad I can't think of their name right now, like their full title, but they're really cool. They host like events throughout the year, whether it be like a 24-hour like psych watchathon, like over Zoom. I think they're meeting up in Austin this summer, like Austin, Texas, that is. So it was really cool. I thought that they had a good panel. They talked about kind of like what they do, like the events that they host. They answered some questions from the person who was hosting the panel. So it was really cool. And then after that panel, we watched Office Space, which is honestly one of my favorite episodes. And then we also did a screening of American Duos. So also a crowd favorite. And prior to the con, they did have the attendees basically vote on which episodes we were going to screen. So then they closed the convention at like 6. So we had a bit of a break between 6 and 8. So then they opened it back up. And then they had like a karaoke event, which was interesting. It was interesting. I have honestly never seen karaoke in real life. Like, I've seen movies, I know what karaoke is, but I've never actually gone to like a karaoke bar or anything like that. So that was interesting. There were some people who were killing it, and some people who were there for the vibes. We'll put it that way. So that was really cool. I really liked it. And then I'll be honest, I was tired because I had been up since, I want to say 4 a.m. at that point, or on that day. So after karaoke, I cut out. There was a welcome party, but I had seen all I needed to see, and I was just like, you know what, I'm good. I'll I'll be fine. So, but it was cool. I mean, I obviously had fun, clearly, but it was just kind of like one of those things. Like, yeah, I'm cool if I go home right now because I was tired. So obviously that was basically day one. So it was really cool. On day two, I started my day on a good note. And it just got better and better and better and better. So when I got to the convention in the morning on day two, I sat in on the Our Love of the 80s and the sexy mystique of Kurt Smith. So James Roday Rodriguez, Steve Franks, and Chris Hins, and then obviously Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. They hosted that panel, so that was really cool. I think it's hilarious that my mom obviously watched the show with me, psych. She knew who Kurt Smith was because she grew up in that time period where Tears for Fears was like a new artist and they were on the radio. Um, so I know about Tears for Fears because of her and the show. And my son, bless his heart, he's 4 years old. He knows Everybody Wants to Rule the World because of Despicable Me 4. So I just thought that was cute. And that was one of the things that was brought up at the panel. Like, like, how do you feel, Kurt Smith, knowing that your music has transcended, decades? Like, it's 80s music, but here it is 2025 and people are still jamming out. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that panel. And then I left after that because I got a photo with James and Dulé. So, I was definitely like in awe. And like, it's so sad because like, oh my God, I'm such a dork. So I knew I had this photo. I obviously picked Saturday. I got in line. I'm prepping. I'm making sure, like I look okay. And I was rehearsing the entire like time I was in line. Hi, I'm Jakarta. Like, nice to meet you. Me and my mom love you, guys. Like, she can't be here, but she got me this shirt. So, like, I can't wait to show her this photo. And then, oh my God, look at my nails. They have pineapples on them. I rehearsed this. Or some variation of that. I get up there to take my photo. And Dulé literally looks me dead in my eyes. And he goes, hi, how are you? And I don't know if I short-circuited. I don't know if I temporarily died. I have no recollection of what happened after he said that to me. I don't think I said my name. I don't think I said shit about my nails. I don't even think I acknowledged James at all. I don't know what happened to me, guys. I guess I was so starstruck. Dulé is so moisturized. He's so talented. He smelled good. Or they both smelled good. I don't know. I have no clue. My mind went blank. And I feel like such a dummy. Because everything I rehearsed, right out the window. I don't know what the hell happened to me. But I digress. I got my photo. It turned out beautifully. I love it. So, go me. But also, like, now I have to go and do another convention for psych so I can actually talk to them and not look so damn dumb. But whatever. It is what it is. So obviously after I got my photo with them, I went back to like the main conference room and I sat in on a conversation with Jasmine Simon +1. So Jasmine, who played Selene on the show, who and her character in real life and in the show is actually married to Dulé. So that was really cool. I think it was a really cool panel because a lot of people got up and asked, like, how was it working with your spouse? How did you feel coming into a show that had already been on air for X amount of time, you know, things like that. So I mean, I'll be honest, other than Psych, I don't believe I've seen anything that Jasmine Simon has acted in. However, I really enjoyed her um, panels that she sat in on. And so, honestly, I'm really excited to see some of her past work because I really enjoyed her in Psych. Her character's funny. Um, so I liked it. I liked her character. I like her as a person from what I was able to gather from the panels. So I'm actually really excited to see more of her. And I definitely think that Jasmine and Dule need to have like their own like show. Like whether it's like a reality show or like one of those like commentator S type shows, whether it be a podcast, I don't know, but I do think that those two together, they are a great pair in real life and on screen. So I'm excited to see more of them. They also, after that panel, after Jasmine's panel, they had a cosplay contest. So a lot of people dressed up. I thought that was really cool. I personally did not dress up. I had like themed t-shirts, but nothing, you know, like really cool. Like I wasn't dressing up, like, you know, all of the crazy wacky costumes that Sean and Gus had in the show. But it was really cool seeing what other people had. And then after the cosplay of contest, they had another break. And then when it came back, or not when it came back, but when they came back after the break, they did a Men of SP or SBPD panel. So it had Corbin Burnson, Timothy Omenson, Kurt Fuller, and Kristen Nelson. So basically Henry Spencer, so Sean's dad, Lassie, Woody the current coroner, and then Chief Vic. They were there and they had a panel and that was really good. Lots of laughs that was happening with that. Then after that panel, they did the Jamaican Inspector Man sing along. They, you know, did a few like trivia games and things like that. Then they had another panel, the ones that got away, with James Roday Rodriguez, Rachel Lee Cook, Maggie Lawson, and Nestor Carbonell, and that was moderated by Andy Berman. So it was really interesting. Apparently, Nestor Carbonell was in Lost. I've never seen it, but a lot of people were asking questions about that show. So, you know, I shouldn't say he, everyone I thought was very, very attentive in the panel. It never felt like they were forcing answers like, oh my God, I love Psych. And you like can tell like that was the worst, you know, 10 years of their lives or something like that. I think everyone genuinely liked their fellow cast members. They genuinely enjoyed working with the creators and the producers of the show, and they genuinely love the community that Psych has created. So I personally thought that that was really good. I think one of my biggest fears going to these conventions is that I'll either meet a celebrity that just is awful. Like, it's one thing, like, you hear stories about certain celebrities and they're like, oh yeah, they're a-holes or they're bad tippers or yada yada yada. They like to argue with people, and it's like, well, you know, like, whatever. Like, it sucks that they're a terrible human being, but whatevs. Especially when it's like a celebrity that I don't really care much about. Like, oh yeah, I like their movies, but I'm not like a fan of that celebrity in particular. But that would be like me finding out that Nick Jonas is an asshole. Like, I think I'd cry. Josh Hutcherson, I'd probably cry. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain celebrities that you're like, I really genuinely hope that they're a good person, because you genuinely feel like had they been a regular person or had circumstances been different and you somehow were also a celebrity, that you guys would be friends. You know what I mean? Now, whether that's warranted or not, I mean, neither here nor there, but that's how you feel. So, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, all the panels that I went to, on day 2 were great, and I mean, I basically went to every single panel. Um, so that was really cool. And then at the end of the day, or well, the convention day ended at like 6:30, but then they came back and they had an evening event. So for the evening event, they had an all cast special event, so it was really cool. For the all cast special event, they basically were doing table reads. So like, oh, like you're gonna read like the pilot episode, but instead of James playing Sean's character and Dule playing Gus's character, they like flipped it. So then, like Gus was playing Sean's part or he was playing Lassie's part. Like it was things like that. So they kind of like mixed it up. So it was kind of cool. They were really into it, making all these like goofy like inflections for their voice and things or like accent. It was really cool. So I thought it was really fun. And then after that they played Psych the movie. They had a moving screening, but I'll be honest, I think I watched 10 minutes of the movie and again I was like, I need to go home. Well, back to the hotel. So I was just like, yeah, like I'm good, but I love that for you guys. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not over it. I don't want to say I was over it, but I was definitely tired. Like I was yawning as I was watching the movie. But that was really cool. And then I forgot to say, when I walked into the convention at the beginning of day 2, the blueberry was outside. Yes, the blueberry. So I like snuck and took a photo with the blueberry. So I got that. But yeah, so day 2, I got a photo with the blueberry first, and then obviously I got my photo op with James and Dule. So that was really cool. And then Sunday was the last day of the convention, which obviously kind of sad that it was the last day of the convention, but I mean, all good things must come to an end at some point. So for the last day of the convention, I actually like got to the convention kind of on the later side, just because it was like our last full day in Philly. So I wanted to get food at Reading Terminal Market for like the 15th time. So me and my hubby, we had breakfast at Reading Terminal Market, and then I went over to the convention. Well, I had paid for an autograph from Timothy Obenson, so Lassie, and then I paid for a selfie with Rachel A. Cook. So you guys might know her as Lainey Boggs from She's All That, or Josie and Josie and the Pussycats. She also played Abigail, Sean's girlfriend in the show. So I got in line for those experiences first. So I got my selfie with Rachel first, and she is literally like the sweetest person. Like she was so sweet. Like I told her, I was like, oh my god, like me and my sister love you. Like She's All That is our comfort movie. My aunt, like, let us watch that movie, and then like ever since then, like that's our comfort movie. And she was like, oh my god, where's your sister? Is she, like, is she here? And I was like, no. I was like, she's not here, but I can't wait to tell her that I met you or whatever. And she was like, oh my god, let's send your sister love. So like she held up one heart and I held up the other, and we took our selfie. And she took a few, or the crew that was working with her, they took a few of those photos, and then we like switched up our poses and like we took another selfie. So I thought that was really sweet. And I mean, she just seemed like a genuinely nice person. Like, so like I love that for me, and I love that for her, that she's a nice person. So, but it was really cool. So I can't believe I got to like meet my very first like girl crush in real life. Like that's crazy to me, but like I love it. And then obviously I got in line for Timothy, aka Lassie, and I actually got an autograph from him for my mom, so don't tell her. So it was really cool. So I got an autograph from him, and he's really sweet. And it's kind of funny because, like, obviously if you've ever seen the show, Lassie's very much like gruff, by the book, hardly ever smiles, never basically laughs, and obviously he plays an asshole in The Luck of the Irish. Like, you know what I mean? I've never personally seen Gallivant, but I heard he's great in that. And so I know his character in, well, I think his character in Gallivant is a little bit more like, I don't want to say personable, but maybe that's a good word. I don't know. I've never seen Gallivant, so I probably shouldn't talk about that show because I've never seen it. But I've heard that his character in Gallivant is a lot different than his character in Psych. So either way, but he's really cool. I feel like he has a very like dry sense of humor in a way, like, but his like he's funny, but like his delivery is very dry, but I like it. Like, it's really cool. So it was really awesome that I got to meet him. Obviously the line for his autographs were like ridiculous, so I couldn't like have some like 30-minute conversation with him, but it was a really good conversation nonetheless. He seems very sweet, and I feel like I know for a fact that he's sweet because everybody in the cast talks about how great of a human being he is, how awesome he is as a person, as an actor, like all of these things. So I feel confident in my assumption that Lassie is a good person inside and out. So that was really cool. So after I got those selfies and that autograph, I went back to the main conference room, and there was a panel with Maggie Lawson, Kirsten Nelson, who's Shifik, and then Jasmine Simon. So they had a panel, and it was like ladies' night. So that was really cool. I think one of the things that stood out most for me from that particular panel was Jasmine Simon said, she was talking about how we need to change our inner monologue. And when we approach new things that challenge us, things that are outside of our norm, we should say, what's the best thing that can happen? Instead of saying, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I don't know. I think that was really impactful, powerful. I don't know. I guess I've never thought about that. Like, what's the best thing that could happen? Because you always say, oh, what's the worst thing could happen? I could lose my job, blah, 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 blah. Like, but you never think, like, what's the best thing that could happen? If I do something that scares me, what's the best thing that can happen? And I just think that that's a great, like, way to, like, spin it when you're dealing with those new experiences. So, I don't know. I just really think that was great. And I'm actually... like, I don't know if I need to put that on a vision board, on a pillow. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just make it into a sticker. I don't know. But I really love that she shared that with us. I thought that was great. But I was going to say, I really enjoyed that panel. Then after that panel, there was a break. And then there was another panel. And it was Behind the Curtain with Steve Franks, Chris Hens, Andy Berman, and Tim Meltreger. So that's like all the creative people behind Psych. So we got to see like how Psych became a thing, what their hopes and dreams were for the show, and how it exceeded those expectations. Kind of some of the things that they wish they would have been able to do, like have a crossover episode with Monk, or do a cameo in Monk's movie, or have Monk do a cameo in their movie. They really want a Psych 4, and I'm here for it because all of us fans want a Psych 4. So fingers crossed, Peacock gets their shit together and we can get a 4th Psych movie. But we'll see. Hopefully. And then after that panel, there is a deep dive on the episode Last Night Gus with Timothy Omenson, Corbin Burnson, Kurt Fuller, and Andy Berman. So that was really cool. I even got up and asked a question. I asked a really lame question. I asked them if there's anybody that they would have guest starred in this particular episode. And they basically said no. Like, all of them was like, no, I think, like, this episode was great as is. And I mean, I agree with them, but I kind of just wanted to ask a question, and, like, I'm kind of lame because that's the only thing I could think of. But, I mean, if you know anything about Psych, they always had, like, the most random guest stars. Like Carrie Ellis was there. If you've ever seen Princess Bride, the guy, the main guy, that's him, and he was randomly in it. He also was in like Robin Hood Men in Tights. So like, yeah, they had basically every person from the Breakfast Club in there except Emilio Estevez. Um, it just random. Like they just had random celebs. I mean, like think about it. Kurt Smith is randomly in that show, and not just, oh, it was just a one-off episode. Like no, he's in there multiple times. Like they keep bringing his ass back, which is not a bad thing. It's just like it's kind of funny. Like they just had random guest stars sometimes, but I love it. I loved it. But anyway, so that happened. Fun fact, me and Andy Berman share a birthday, so we're birthday twins. And it's so funny because the entire time I was watching, like, not watching, but when I was like sitting in on the panels, Andy Berman looks so familiar, and I'm like, where do I know this guy from? And I'm thinking like, well, he keeps coming out on stage because he's obviously one of the writers for the show, and I'm like, so maybe that's it. So I had to like Google him real quick. That's how I found out we were birthday twins. Along with Billy Zane and Steve Jobs. Anyway, but he's Dennis from the Jamie Foxx show, and I was just like, what? This is so random. But yeah, so like that was really just random information that I found out, but it was really cool. Obviously, you know, I had a blast. We did the Hawaiian shirt world record attempt. So like on Sunday they wanted us all to wear Hawaiian shirts to try to see if we could break the world record for the most amount of Hawaiian shirts in one area. Unfortunately, we did not meet that record. I think we got up to 754, and I think the current record is like 1,458 or something like that. So we weren't close, but it was a valiant effort, I will say that. And then after we did that, there was one last panel of the day, and it was the greatest bromance. And that was with James Rode Rodriguez and Dule Hill, and it was moderated by Steve Franks. And I was gonna say, I thought that was like the perfect panel to end the day. James and Dule are very much entertaining. They were super, super great with all the Q&As. So, I mean, overall, this weekend was a 5 out of 5. I would definitely go to another psych convention. I think the only thing I would change is I would force my mom to go with me. Because I think she'd get a kick out of it. And I think that is one downside to going to conventions by yourself. Like, yes, my husband was physically with me in Philadelphia, so like when I wasn't at the convention, like we were hanging out and, you know, things like that. But I think it would be fun to like actually bring somebody who's just as like die hard as I am and make it like a whole wonderful weekend. Like I wanted that. So it was kind of one of those things. Especially because like one of the perks of being like a cadet badge carrier, so basically like if you're gonna rank the seatings, they have like gold members who sit at the top. Those were the psychic badge, and then if you had a detective badge, you were kind of like silver, so you sat behind the psychics, and then after the detectives were the cadets. So I was a cadet, so you're like copper or bronze holders. That was me. And I mean, it was cool. I was guaranteed the same seat every single day of the convention. I kind of got priority in a sense when it came to being in line, because they would line us up: psychics, detectives, cadets, and then general admission. So that was cool. So because I got to sit in the same seat every day, I got to kind of know some of the people that were sitting in my row and then behind me. So it was nice to like obviously interact with fans. But Sorry about that. My daughter wanted to get her juice. But anyway, I think it was cool. I got to engage with other fans. But a lot of people came with either like a friend, like one friend or two friends, three friends, things like that. So it was just kind of like one of those things. I wish I could have gone with somebody, especially like for during those break times, like, people who came with other people, they kind of would walk off and do their own thing. I mean, shout out to two of the people that were sitting next to me, Gail and Darcy. They were really cool. They invited me and my hubby out for like dinner on day 2. So that was cool. We went to a hand drawn noodle shop. So that was really cool. And they're really cool. So I have their information, and fingers crossed we like stay in contact. But it was fun. It was fun. It was definitely fun. I would definitely do it again. Um, Probably make a whole week out of it. I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, I realized when I got home that was the first time I had gone to Philly and didn't get a cheesesteak. I know, criminal. But all in all, it's a great weekend. Hopefully they have another one next year, and if they do, hopefully you guys will come and enjoy and all the psycho fun that we had. But other than that, I mean, like, it was a great weekend. I love this for me. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, or great evening, I should say. And if you're celebrating Easter, happy Easter.